The heat hits Yiseon at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday, 5 years to the day since Seo Jaehwan walked out of his life without a word. His body betrays him in the cramped Busan apartment. Expired suppressants scattered uselessly across the bathroom counter, his scent blooming thick and sweet in the stale air. Through the haze of fever and biological desperation, he hears Junseo's voice, sharp with a 5-year-old's panic. "Appa, Miho won't stop crying. Appa, please." Yiseon forces his eyes open to see his son standing in the doorway, all alpha already, even at 5. Those eyes. God, those eyes. Dark and intense, and so achingly familiar it steals what little breath Yiseon has left. Junseo has his father's face, his father's commanding presence, his father's way of standing like he owns every room he enters. Behind him, Miho burns with fever on the worn couch. The intro reveals what Yiseon has hidden for 5 years. He is not just a struggling single omega working 3 jobs to survive. He is a fugitive from a mate bond that should have been forever, from an alpha who chose his empire over their future, from a love that was supposed to be written in biology itself. This contrast, an omega in heat, vulnerable and desperate, children sick and scared, while somewhere in Seoul the most dangerous alpha in South Korea still wears Yiseon's bite mark on his neck, creates a tension that thrums like a warning. The past doesn't stay buried. And Seo Jaehwan never stops searching for what belongs to him. Before I tell you what happens next, subscribe to Starry-Eyed Lovers, and tell me where you're watching from. The dinner rush at Haeundae Sikdang is always chaos, shouted orders, sizzling pans, the constant clatter of dishes that makes Yiseon's head pound. He's been on his feet for 6 hours, moving on autopilot between tables, his suppressants doing just enough to keep his scent neutral, his omega nature invisible. Just another tired server in a cheap uniform, unremarkable and forgettable. That's how he's survived 5 years. The bell above the door chimes. Yiseon doesn't look up. He never does, trained himself not to make eye contact, not to be memorable. He's wiping down table 7 when the air in the room changes. It's subtle, the way prey knows when a predator enters their territory. A shift in pressure. A warning written in instinct. He looks up. Park Min-jae stands in the doorway in a perfectly tailored black suit that costs more than Yiseon makes in 6 months. Soul money. Soul power. Soul danger. Their eyes meet across the crowded restaurant, and Yiseon watches recognition flash across Minji's face like lightning. Surprise, calculation, and something that might be pity. The tray in Yiseon's hands trembles. Minji's expression smooths into professional neutrality. He walks to the counter, asks for a table for 1 in that low, measured voice Yiseon remembers from another lifetime. The hostess seats him in Yiseon's section because of course she does. Because the universe has a cruel sense of humor. Yiseon's legs move on their own. Muscle memory from a different kind of survival. Don't run, don't panic, don't draw attention. He approaches the table with a menu clutched like a shield. Hyung. Minji's voice is quiet, almost gentle. The honorific cuts like a blade. It's been a long time. You have the wrong person. Yiseon's voice comes out steady. He's proud of that. Can I get you something to drink? The boss has been looking for you. Min-jae doesn't open the menu. His eyes, dark and sharp and missing nothing, scan Yiseon's face, the weight he's lost, the exhaustion carved into the hollows beneath his eyes. 5 years. We searched everywhere. I don't know what you're talking about. But Yiseon's hand shakes as he pulls out his order pad. The pen nearly slips through his fingers. Min-jae leans forward slightly. The art competition. National Youth Arts Festival. First place, age 5 and under category. His voice drops lower. Seo Junseo. His face was on the broadcast yesterday. Your face was in the background when they showed the parents. The world tilts. The restaurant sounds blur into white noise. Yiseon's suppressants can't mask the spike of fear scent that floods his system, sharp and bitter. He needs to know about them. Minji's tone is carefully neutral, but there's an edge underneath. Not a threat. A warning. You can't hide his sons from him. You know how he is. They're not. Yiseon's voice cracks. He tries again. They're mine. He walked away. He doesn't get to. He didn't know. For the first time, emotion bleeds through Minji's professional mask. Did he? You never told him you were pregnant. The admission sits between them like a live grenade. When? Yizeo asks and hates how small his voice sounds. How defeated? Tonight. Maybe tomorrow morning if the Incheon situation takes longer than expected. Min-jae finally looks at the menu, a pantomime of normalcy. He's already on his way to Busan. I'm here to make sure you don't run before he arrives. I'm not. But the lie dies on Yiseon's tongue because they both know better. Running is what Yiseon does. It's all he's done for 5 years. Hyung. Minji's voice softens. Those boys deserve to know their father. And he pauses, choosing his words carefully. He's not the same man you left. The things he's done trying to find you. He shakes his head. Just don't run. Not this time. Yiseon's break happens in 15 minutes. He makes it through 3 tables, operating on autopilot, before he's ripping off his apron in the back room. His manager is yelling something about his shift, but Yiseon is already out the back door, the November cold hitting his overheated skin like a slap. The bus ride home takes 23 minutes. Each one feels like an eternity. His mind races. The art competition, he'd been so proud when Seo won, had let himself enjoy the moment, hadn't thought about the cameras, the broadcast, the facial recognition software that Jaehwan's organization probably runs on every major network. One moment of letting his guard down, and 5 years of hiding unravels. The apartment is exactly as he left it this morning. Cheap. Small. Safe. Mrs. Kim from next door is watching the boys. She waves as Yiseon rushes past, says something about Seo's drawing being beautiful. Yiseon manages a smile that feels like it might crack his face. Inside, the twins are on the floor with crayons. Seo looks up with those devastating eyes, and Yiseon's heart breaks all over again. Appa, you're home early. Pack your things. Yiseon is already pulling their emergency bag from the closet. The one he's kept ready for 5 years, the one he prays they'll never need. We're going on an adventure. Where? Miho asks, already excited. Yiseon doesn't have an answer. He has $3,000 in savings, no car, and nowhere to go that Jaehwan won't find him. Seoul is out. Jeju is too obvious. Maybe Gangneung? Sokcho. Who is he kidding? Jaehwan owns half of South Korea. There is nowhere far enough. He packs anyway, because movement is better than paralysis. Clothes, documents, the twins' favorite toys. His hands are shaking so badly he can barely zip the bag. The suppressants in the bathroom. He shoves them in his pocket, knowing they're almost gone, knowing he can't afford more. Seo appears in the doorway, too perceptive for 5. Appa, why are you scared? I'm not, but he can't finish the lie. He kneels, pulling both boys close, breathing in their sweet alpha pup scent. They smell like milk and crayons and everything innocent that Yiseon tried to protect them from. Someone is coming, Yiseon whispers against Seo's hair. Someone from before you were born. Is he bad? Miho's voice is small. Yiseon closes his eyes. I don't know anymore. The bag sits by the door. Packed and ready. Useless. Outside, Busan continues its evening rhythm, oblivious, indifferent. And somewhere between here and Seoul, Seo Jaehwan is coming to collect what was always his. Yiseon doesn't sleep. He sits on the couch with the emergency bag at his feet, watching the door like it might explode inward at any moment. The twins are finally asleep in the bedroom. It took 3 stories and Seo's suspicious questions about why they weren't leaving yet before exhaustion claimed them both. The knock comes at 2 a.m., 3 measured raps that somehow sound like a command. Yiseon's suppressants have worn off. He can smell his own fierce scent saturating the small apartment, bitter and sharp. His hands shake as he approaches the door, and he hates himself for the weakness. 5 years of running, of surviving, of building a life from nothing, and it all crumbles at the sound of knuckles on cheap wood. He knows who it is before he looks through the peephole. Seo Jaehwan stands in the hallway like a king surveying conquered territory. The security light casts harsh shadows across his face, but even through the distortion of the peephole lens, Yiseon can see how he's changed. Harder. Sharper. The boyish edges that used to soften his features have been carved away by 5 years of violence and power. His suit is black and expensive, his hair shorter than Yiseon remembers. There's a scar now, thin and pale, cutting through his left eyebrow. He looks like exactly what he is, the most dangerous man in Seoul. Yiseon's body betrays him. Even through fear, even through 5 years of absence, his omega biology recognizes its alpha. His mate. The bond they share hums to life like a live wire, and Yiseon has to grip the doorframe to stay upright. Another knock. Softer this time. I know you're there. I can smell you. The words are a knife between Yiseon's ribs. Of course Jaehwan can smell him. Their bond works both ways, and Yiseon's suppressants are gone. He's broadcasting his presence like a beacon. He opens the door because there's no other choice. There never was. They stare at each other across the threshold. 5 years compressed into a single breath. Jaehwan's eyes, dark and intense and exactly like Junseo's, rake over Yiseon with an intensity that feels physical. Taking inventory. Cataloging damage. You look. Jaehwan's voice is rougher than Yiseon remembers, whiskey smooth turned gravel. Christ, Yiseon. What did you do to yourself? Yiseon knows what he sees. The weight loss that's made his frame almost skeletal. The exhaustion carved into his face. The cheap clothes and cheaper apartment, and the desperation that clings to him like a second skin. He's 28 but looks 40, worn down by poverty and fear and the constant, gnawing anxiety of being hunted. Survived, Yiseon says, and his voice comes out stronger than he feels. Without you. Something flickers in Jaehwan's expression. Pain, maybe. Or anger. It's hard to tell through the iron control he wears like armor. Can I come in? It's phrased like a question, but they both know it's not. Yiseon steps back. Jaehwan enters, and the apartment seems to shrink around his presence. He's bigger than Yiseon remembers, not taller but broader, carrying muscle and power in a way that makes the space feel claustrophobic. His scent floods the room, cedar and smoke and something darker. Alpha. Mate. Danger. Yiseon's knees nearly buckle. Jaehwan's eyes find the emergency bag by the door. His jaw tightens. Were you going to run again? What do you think? I think. But Jaehwan cuts himself off as his gaze sweeps the apartment. Taking in the cramped kitchen, the patched couch, the children's drawings taped to the walls. His whole body goes still when he sees the 2 small pairs of shoes by the door. Child-sized. Identical. Where are they? His voice has gone dangerously soft. Sleeping. And they're going to stay that way. Yiseon moves between Jaehwan and the bedroom door. You don't get to just. The bedroom door opens. Junseo stands there in his 2 small pajamas, dark hair sleep mussed, eyes alert in a way that's too knowing for 5. Behind him, Miho rubs his eyes, confused and half asleep. The world stops. Jaehwan stares at his sons like he's seeing ghosts. His face, usually so controlled, so unreadable, cracks open with something raw and devastating. He takes 1 step forward, then stops himself, hands clenching into fists at his sides. Junseo's head tilts, studying the stranger in their apartment. Then something shifts in his expression, recognition that has nothing to do with memory and everything to do with biology. Alpha recognizing Alpha. Son recognizing father. His small body straightens, shoulders going back in unconscious mimicry of Jaehwan's posture. Appa, Junseo says, still looking at Jaehwan. Who is he? Yiseon can't breathe. Can't think. The question hangs in the air like a guillotine blade. Jaehwan drops to 1 knee, bringing himself to eye level with the twins. His hands are shaking, the only crack in his composure. My name is Seo Jaehwan, he says, and his voice breaks on the syllables. And you're mine. Both of you. Junseo takes a step closer, fearless in the way only a child can be. You smell like us. Yeah. Jaehwan's laugh is wet, almost wounded. Yeah, I do. Miho is crying now, overwhelmed and scared, reaching for Yiseon. Yiseon scoops him up automatically, feels his son's tears soaking into his shirt. But Junseo remains standing in front of Jaehwan, studying him with those devastating eyes. You're our father, Junseo says. Not a question. A statement of fact delivered with alpha certainty. Yes. Where were you? The question, so simple, so childish, so completely devastating, breaks something in Jaehwan's expression. He looks at Yiseon over Junseo's head, and for the first time since walking through the door, his control shatters completely. You were pregnant. His voice is ragged, each word dragged from somewhere deep and bleeding. You were carrying my sons, and I. He can't finish the sentence. The words die in his throat, choked by 5 years of searching, of not knowing, of walking away from the Omega who was pregnant with his children. The silence that follows is devastating. Miho has stopped crying, watching with wide eyes. Junseo hasn't moved, still standing between his father and his appa, a bridge across 5 years of absence. I didn't know, Jaehwan finally manages. I swear to God, Yiseon, I didn't know. You didn't ask. Yiseon's voice is hollow. You just left. I know. Jaehwan's hands are still shaking. I know, and he stops again, jaw working. I can't undo it. But I'm here now. 5 years too late. I know that too. Jaehwan rises slowly, carefully, like sudden movement might shatter the fragile moment. But they're mine. Our sons. And I'm not walking away again. Not ever. The promise hangs in the air between them, heavy with everything unsaid. Outside, Busan sleeps. Inside this cramped apartment, a family that was torn apart 5 years ago faces each other across an impossible divide. Junseo reaches out and takes Jaehwan's hand. His small fingers wrap around his father's, and the bond, blood to blood, alpha to alpha, clicks into place with an almost audible sound. Okay, Junseo says simply. You can stay. And Yiseon realizes with cold, creeping certainty that the choice was never his to make. The twins finally settle back to sleep near 3 a.m., Junseo's hand still wrapped around one of Jaehwan's fingers, even as unconsciousness claims him. Extracting himself takes careful maneuvering, and Yiseon watches from the doorway as the most dangerous alpha in South Korea gently, so carefully, tucks a worn blanket around his sons. They're sons. The thought still doesn't feel real. When Jaehwan emerges from the bedroom, his expression has shifted back to that controlled neutrality, but something in his eyes remains raw. Exposed. He follows Yiseon into the kitchen without a word, and the small space, barely large enough for one person to cook comfortably, becomes suffocating with both of them in it. Yiseon's suppressants are completely gone from his system now. His scent floods the kitchen, and he can see Jaehwan's nostrils flare, see the way his pupils dilate. The mate bond between them thrums like a second heartbeat, 5 years of dormancy awakening all at once. Don't, Yiseon warns, though he's not sure what he's warning against. Don't come closer. Don't look at me like that. Don't make this harder than it already is. Jaehwan stops, hands loose at his sides. Waiting. It's the stillness of a predator giving prey the illusion of safety. You walked away. The words burst from Yiseon like a wound finally rupturing. 5 years of silence, of swallowing pain, of surviving instead of living. All of it comes pouring out. No explanation. No goodbye. Just silence. I woke up and you were gone. Your clothes, your scent, everything. Like you'd never existed. Yiseon. I was 3 months pregnant. His voice cracks, and he hates it, hates the weakness, hates that even now, even after everything, this man can reduce him to shaking pieces. 3 months. And you knew something was different. I could smell it on you. The way you looked at me those last few weeks. You knew, and you still left. I didn't know about the pregnancy. Jaehwan's voice is low, careful. I swear to God, if I had known. But you knew something. Yiseon's hands gripped the counter behind him, needing something solid to anchor to. You could smell the changes in my scent. You were pulling away already. So what was it? Did you get bored? Find someone else? Decide I wasn't worth the trouble. The mate bond pulses between them, painful and insistent. Yiseon's omega biology screams at him to submit, to go to his alpha, to seek comfort in arms that abandoned him. He grips the counter harder, knuckles going white. Jaehwan takes one step forward, then stops when Yiseon flinches. There was a war coming. Inside the organization. Kim Dae-shik and his faction, they wanted me out. Wanted to take over. His jaw tightens. They knew about you. Knew you were my weakness. Knew that if they wanted to destroy me, they'd start with you. The kitchen seems to tilt. Yiseon stares at him, trying to process the words. I found the surveillance photos in Dae-shik's office, Jaehwan continues, voice dropping lower. Pictures of you. At the cafe you liked. The bookstore. Walking home from the clinic. His hands clench into fists. They were planning to take you. Use you against me. And I couldn't. He stops, breathing hard. I couldn't let that happen. So you left me instead. The words taste like ash. I thought, Jaehwan's control wavers. I thought if I walked away, if I ended the bond, they'd lose interest. You'd be safe. You'd mourn me and move on and live a normal fucking life instead of being a target for every enemy I've ever made. You can't just end a mate bond. Yiseon's voice is hollow. It doesn't work like that. I know that now. The admission sounds like it's being dragged from somewhere deep and bleeding. I know a lot of things now that I didn't know then. Like how you can't sleep without someone's scent. Like how every day without your mate feels like slowly dying. Like how, his voice breaks. Like how walking away from you was the biggest mistake of my life, and I've spent 5 years trying to find you to fix it. Yiseon laughs, but it's a broken sound. Fix it? You think you can fix 5 years? Fix me working 3 jobs while pregnant because I had nothing? Fix me giving birth alone in a public hospital because I couldn't afford anything else? Fix me raising our sons in poverty while you... He gestures at Jaehwan's expensive suit. While you built your empire? No. Jaehwan's voice is rough. I can't fix any of that. But I searched for you. Every single day. I had people looking in every city, every town. He stops, jaw working. I killed Kim Dae-shik 3 months after you disappeared. Killed him and everyone who knew about you. Made sure no one would ever threaten you again. And then I couldn't find you. The mate bond pulses harder, responding to their proximity, to 5 years of separation. Yiseon can feel his body responding against his will, his sense sweetening, his instincts screaming at him to close the distance between them. You should have told me. His voice comes out smaller than he wants. You should have trusted me. I know. I thought you didn't want me anymore. That I wasn't. Yiseon cuts himself off, but the damage is done. Wasn't what? Jaehwan's eyes are intense, pinning him in place. Wasn't enough? Wasn't worth it. He takes another step forward, and this time Yiseon doesn't flinch. You were everything. You are everything. Why do you think I tore Seoul apart looking for you? The kitchen is too small. The air is too thick. Yiseon can barely breathe through the weight of their combined sense, the mate bond pulling them together like gravity. I hate you, Yiseon whispers, but it sounds like a lie even to his own ears. I know. Jaehwan is close enough now that Yiseon can feel his body heat. Hate me. Scream at me. Make me bleed for it. But don't ask me to walk away again. Don't ask me to leave our sons. Our sons. The words feel foreign in Yiseon's mouth. For 5 years, they've been his sons. His alone. The thought of sharing them, of giving up any piece of them, makes his chest tight with panic. I missed everything. Jaehwan's voice cracks. Their births. Their first words. First steps. 5 years of their lives, and I can't. He stops, breathing hard. I can't miss any more. Yiseon closes his eyes. The mate bond is a physical ache now, made worse by proximity, by 5 years of denial. His body remembers Jaehwan's touch, craves it despite everything. Omega biology doesn't care about abandonment or pain. It only knows, mate alpha home. I don't forgive you, Yiseon says, eyes still closed. I don't know if I can ever forgive you. I'm not asking for forgiveness. Jaehwan's breath ghosts across Yiseon's face, and Yiseon realizes he's gotten even closer. I'm asking for a chance. To know them. To protect you all. He stops. To fix what I broke, even if it takes the rest of my life. Yiseon opens his eyes. Jaehwan is right there, close enough to kiss, and the mate bond sings between them. 5 years of silence. 5 years of pain. 5 years of surviving alone. They need you, Yiseon admits, and the words taste like surrender. Junseo especially. He's so much like you already, and I don't, his voice wavers. I don't know how to raise an alpha. I'm just an omega who's barely holding it together. You raised them. Jaehwan's hand lifts, hovering near Yiseon's face but not touching. You kept them alive and safe and loved. You did what I couldn't. The words break something in Yiseon's chest. He turns away, putting distance between them, though the kitchen is too small for real escape. You can't stay here. I wasn't planning to. There's something dark in Jaehwan's voice now. Pack what you need. We're leaving before sunrise. And just like that, the gentle moment shatters. Yiseon spins back around. Excuse me? The Choi Syndicate knows I'm in Busan. They'll know why. Jaehwan's expression has gone cold, calculating. This apartment isn't safe. You and the boys are coming with me. Like hell we are. This isn't negotiable, Yiseon. The use of his name, intimate, possessive, makes Yiseon's teeth bare. You don't get to walk back into my life and start giving orders. I'm not letting my son stay in a target zone. Jaehwan's alpha authority bleeds into his voice, and Yiseon feels his omega instincts respond. He fights it. We leave in 2 hours. With or without your cooperation. The threat hangs between them, heavy as the mate bond, suffocating as their combined sense in the too small kitchen. Outside, Busan begins to wake. Inside, Yiseon realizes his freedom died the moment Junseo's face appeared on that broadcast. The past has found him. And this time, there's nowhere left to run. The first shot comes at 5:47 a.m., just as weak dawn light begins filtering through the apartment's thin curtains. The living room window explodes inward in a spray of glass. Yiseon is on the couch, hadn't slept, was watching Jaehwan on his phone coordinating something in low, clipped Korean. The sound of shattering glass is immediately followed by the crack of gunfire. Sharp, distinct, unmistakable. Down! Jaehwan's hand is on Yiseon's head, forcing him to the floor. Another window explodes. The cheap drywall erupts in puffs of white powder as bullets punch through. The twins. Yiseon's body moves on pure instinct, crawling toward the bedroom while glass rains down around him. His hands are bleeding. He doesn't know when that happened, doesn't care. The bedroom door is already open, and both boys are sitting up in bed, frozen in terror. Under the bed. Now. Yiseon's voice comes out steady somehow, even though his whole body is shaking. Don't come out until I say. Junseo's face is pale but determined. He grabs Miho, who started crying, high-pitched and terrified, and pulls him toward the narrow space beneath the bed frame. Yiseon shoves the emergency bag under with them. More gunfire. Closer now. The apartment building shudders with the impact. Yiseon turns to find Jaehwan in the doorway, gun in hand, phone pressed to his ear. Underground parking. 2 minutes. He's not talking to Yiseon. North stairwell. And tell them to bring the fucking armored car. The apartment door splinters. Someone's trying to break through. Stay with them. Jaehwan's eyes meet Yiseon's for a fraction of a second. If anyone comes through that door who isn't me or Min-jae, you run. Window, fire escape, I don't care. You run. He's gone before Yiseon can respond, moving into the hallway with the fluid grace of someone who's done this before. The gunfire intensifies. Yiseon hears shouting in Korean, then screaming, then the wet sound of someone, hitting the floor. Appa! Miho's voice is small from under the bed. Stay quiet, baby. Stay very quiet. The minutes stretch like hours. Yiseon crouches by the bedroom door, every muscle coiled, listening to the violence outside. More gunfire. An explosion that shakes the entire building. Car alarms start wailing in the distance. Someone in another apartment is screaming. Then Jaehwan is back, blood on his white shirt. Yiseon's heart stops until he realizes it's not Jaehwan's blood. We're going. Now. He pulls the twins from under the bed with surprising gentleness. Junseo's eyes are huge but dry. Miho is sobbing, face buried in Jaehwan's shoulder as his father lifts him. I've got Miho. You take Junseo. Jaehwan's voice is clipped, efficient. Stay behind me. Don't stop for anything. The hallway is a war zone. Bodies. Yiseon forces himself not to look, not to process what he's seeing. Bullet holes in the walls. Blood on the cheap carpet. The acrid smell of gunpowder burning his throat. They take the north stairwell. Jaehwan moves fast, gun raised, Miho clutched against his chest with one arm. Yiseon follows with Junseo, his son's hand crushing his fingers. The concrete stairs echo with their footsteps, and somewhere below more gunfire. 2 floors down, Jaehwan says. Min-jae has the car. The door above them slams open. Voices speaking rapid Chinese. Jaehwan's gun comes up, but he doesn't fire. Can't, not with the twins right there. Instead, he moves faster, taking the stairs 2 at a time. They burst into the underground parking garage, and it's chaos. Jaehwan's team, 6 men in dark suits, all armed, are engaged with attackers using the concrete pillars as cover. Muzzle flashes illuminate the dim space like lightning. A black SUV idles near the exit ramp, back door open, Min-jae behind the wheel. Go! Jaehwan pushes Yiseon forward. Run! Yiseon runs. Junseo's weight in his arms, his own breath ragged, the sound of bullets hitting concrete like thunder. 20 meters to the car. 15. 10. The rain starts, sudden and violent, November cold slicking the pavement. Yiseon's shoes slip, but he doesn't fall, can't fall, has to reach the car. Behind them, Jaehwan is providing cover fire, backing toward the SUV. His team is falling back too, organized chaos, train movements. 5 meters. The shot comes from somewhere to the right. Yiseon hears it, feels the air displacement as it passes too close. Then Jaehwan is there, body slamming into Yiseon's back, arms coming around him and Junseo, forcing them down. The second shot hits Jaehwan. Yiseon feels the impact through Jaehwan's body pressed against his. The jerk, the sound of breath punching out. Warm liquid spatters across Yiseon's neck. Blood. Jaehwan's blood, stark against the rain-slicked pavement as they hit the ground. No, Yiseon's voice is raw. Jaehwan's weight is crushing him, Junseo crying underneath them both. Jaehwan! Move! Jaehwan's voice is strained but steady. He's pushing up, dragging Yiseon with him. His left arm hangs useless, blood soaking through his shirt, dripping onto the concrete. Car! Now! Min-jae appears, grabbing Junseo from Yiseon's arms. Someone else takes Miho from Jaehwan. Strong hands push Yiseon into the SUV's back seat. Junseo lands in his lap. Miho is pressed against his side. Then Jaehwan is there too, climbing in despite the blood, despite his useless arm. Drive. His voice is steady even as he's bleeding. Don't stop for anything. The SUV peels out. More gunfire, bullets punching through the rear window, safety glass spiderwebbing but holding. Yiseon throws himself over the twins, making his body a shield. Jaehwan is doing the same from the other side, bracketing them in. The vehicle lurches up the exit ramp and onto the street. Dawn is breaking over Busan, gray light through rain clouds. The SUV weaves through morning traffic at speeds that make Yiseon's stomach lurch. Miho is screaming now, pure terror, and Yiseon can't comfort him because he's shaking too hard himself. Jaehwan's blood is everywhere. On the leather seats. On Yiseon's clothes. Soaking through the makeshift pressure bandage one of his men is applying from the front seat. His face has gone pale, jaw clenched against pain. You're shot. Yiseon's voice sounds distant to his own ears. Shock. He's going into shock. Your shoulder. Through and through. Jaehwan's right hand finds Yiseon's, squeezes. I'm fine. He's not fine. There's too much blood. But his eyes are alert, tracking their route, and he's already on his phone again, coordinating their next move with that same clipped efficiency. The city blurs past. The SUV takes turns too fast, runs red lights, drives on the wrong side of the road. Yiseon loses track of time. Could be minutes. Could be hours. Everything narrows down to Miho's screaming, Junseo's silent tears, and the slick warmth of Jaehwan's blood under his fingers. Where are we going? Yiseon finally asks. Jaehwan's eyes meet his, dark and intense even through the pain. Somewhere they can't follow. Somewhere safe. But Yiseon is beginning to understand there is no safe. Not anymore. Not when you're carrying the children of Seoul's most dangerous alpha. Not when people want you dead just for existing. The rain pounds against the roof. The SUV's engine roars. And somewhere behind them, Busan holds the ruins of the life Yiseon spent 5 years building. Gone. All of it. In less than 20 minutes. Junseo shifts in his lap, small hand reaching for his father. Appa's bleeding. I know, baby. Will he die? The question, so simple, so devastating, makes Yiseon's breath catch. He looks at Jaehwan, sees the grim set of his mouth, the determination in his eyes despite the blood loss. No, Jaehwan answers before Yiseon can. His hand squeezes Yiseon's harder. I'm not going anywhere. Not again. The promise hangs in the air between them, heavy with everything unsaid. Outside, the rain continues. Inside this blood-stained SUV, a fractured family holds on to each other and hopes it's enough. Before I tell you what happens next, subscribe to Starry-Eyed Lovers and tell me where you're watching from. The compound appears through the rain like something from a different world. High stone walls, steel gates that slide open silently, guard towers with men whose rifles track their approach. The SUV climbs for another 10 minutes after passing through security, winding up a private road carved into the Buchan Mountains. Trees press close on either side, dense enough to hide an army. When the main house comes into view, Yiseon's breath catches despite everything. It's not a house. It's a fortress disguised as modern architecture. 3 stories of steel, glass, and stone that somehow manages to look both beautiful and impenetrable. Floor-to-ceiling windows that Yiseon instinctively knows are bulletproof. Clean lines and expensive materials. The kind of place that costs more than Yiseon will make in 10 lifetimes. The SUV stops under a covered portico. Men in dark suits materialize immediately, not threatening but present. Watching. One of them opens Yiseon's door, and the formal bow he receives makes his skin crawl. Welcome home, ma'am. Ma'am. Not sir. They know what he is. What he is to Jaehwan. Jaehwan is already out, moving despite the blood loss, despite the makeshift bandage on his shoulder. A woman in scrubs appears, doctor, Yiseon realizes, and tries to guide him inside. He shakes her off, reaches back into the SUV for Miho, who's finally stopped crying and gone silent with exhaustion. I'll see them settled first. His voice is strained but firm. Then you can dig the bullet out. The bullet went through. I know what the bullet did. Jaehwan's tone brooks no argument. He turns to Yiseon, Miho secure in his good arm. Come on. Let's get them inside. The interior is exactly what Yiseon expected. Expensive and cold. Marble floors. High ceilings. Art on the walls that probably costs more than his entire apartment building. Everything is pristine, designed, curated. It smells like money and power and absolutely nothing like a home. Junseo's hand tightens in Yiseon's. His son is looking around with wide eyes, taking in the space, and Yiseon can see him trying to process the disconnect. Hours ago, they were in a tiny apartment where heat was a luxury. Now they're in a palace. Mr. Seo. An older woman approaches, her bow more subtle but no less respectful. I've prepared the East Wing family suite. 3 bedrooms, private bath, everything the children might need. Thank you, Mrs. Cho. Jaehwan's voice has gone formal. This is Kang Yiseon and our sons, Junseo and Miho. They're to be treated with the same respect you'd give me. Full access to the compound grounds, anything they need. Our sons. The words still sound surreal. Mrs. Cho's eyes flicker to Yiseon, and something in her expression softens. Of course. It's an honor. She bows again, deeper this time. Welcome to the family, Kang Yiseon. Family. The word tastes like a lie. The East Wing suite is bigger than Yiseon's entire apartment. 3 bedrooms connected by a shared living space, each room decorated in muted, expensive tones. There's a playroom already set up, new toys still in packages, art supplies, books. Someone prepared this. Someone knew children were coming. Miho perks up at the sight of the toys. Jaehwan sets him down gently, and within seconds both twins are exploring, their earlier terror forgotten in the way only children can manage. Miho finds a stuffed tiger bigger than he is. Junseo gravitates toward a tablet preloaded with games. Everything they need is here. Jaehwan is watching them, something raw and painful in his expression. Clothes in the closets, sized correctly. Food preferences in the kitchen. Mrs. Cho will make sure. How did you know their sizes? Yiseon's voice comes out flat. How long have you been planning this? Jaehwan's jaw tightens. Since yesterday. When I saw Junseo's face on that broadcast, I had people working through the night. Of course you did. Yiseon looks around the room, seeing it clearly now. The cage. Beautiful and comfortable and absolutely inescapable. This is where you plan to keep us all along. This is where you'll be safe. Safe. The word is bitter. Is that what we're calling this? Appa, look. Miho holds up the stuffed tiger, his earlier terror already fading. Can I keep him? Yiseon forces a smile. Yes, baby. He's yours. Jaehwan moves toward the door, his shirt still soaked with blood. I need to let the doctor work. Mrs. Cho will stay with you, help you get settled. If you need anything. What I need is to leave. The words hang in the air. Miho and Junseo have gone quiet, sensing the tension. Jaehwan's hand tightens on the door frame, and when he looks back at Yiseon, his eyes are hard. That's not an option. Because I'm a prisoner. Because you're my mate and the mother of my children, and there are people who want you dead. His voice drops lower. You saw what happened this morning. That was just the Choi Syndicate. There are 6 other organizations that would love to get their hands on my sons. On you. So this is it. This compound, these walls, guards watching my every move. For now. Jaehwan's expression softens slightly. Until I've eliminated the threats. Until it's safe. And when will that be? A month? A year? Never. He doesn't answer. Can't answer. They both know the truth. In his world, it's never truly safe. After Jaehwan leaves, Mrs. Cho hovers discreetly while Yiseon helps the twins change into clean clothes. Everything fits perfectly. Someone measured them from the broadcast footage, probably. The efficiency of it makes Yiseon's stomach turn. The compound has a private playground, Mrs. Cho offers. And a pool. Indoor and outdoor. Security everywhere, but the children can play freely within the grounds. Freely. Within the grounds. The contradiction doesn't seem to register with her. How big is the compound? 20 acres. Fully secured perimeter, guard rotation every 6 hours. Mr. Seo takes the family's safety very seriously. 20 acres. It sounds huge. It's still a cage. That evening, after the twins are fed and bathed and finally asleep in beds that probably cost more than everything Yiseon owned, he stands at the massive window in his assigned bedroom. The glass is thick, slightly warped, bulletproof, just as he suspected. Rain streaks down the surface, distorting the lights of Seoul visible in the valley far below. Behind him, the room is a study in luxury. King bed with silk sheets. Private bathroom with heated floors. A walk-in closet already filled with clothes in his size. Everything he could possibly need except freedom. He presses his hand against the glass. It's cold despite the heated room. Immovable. Like everything else in this fortress. Somewhere in the compound, Jaehwan is being stitched up. His blood is probably still in the SUV, dried and brown against expensive leather. He took a bullet for Yiseon today. For Junseo. threw his body between them in danger without hesitation. And now Yiseon is here, in this beautiful prison, with an alpha who loves him enough to die for him, but not enough to let him go. The mate bond pulses quietly, tracking Jaehwan's location in the compound. Yiseon closes his eyes against it, against the biological pull that says mate, home, safe. This isn't home. This is captivity in silk and marble. But when he turns back to look at the bedroom where his sons sleep, safe, warm, bellies full, no longer crying from fear, Yiseon has to admit the terrible truth. He'd choose this cage over their freedom if it meant they survived. And Jaehwan knows it. Outside, the rain continues to fall on the mountain. Inside the fortress, Yiseon begins to understand the price of protection is everything he has left to give. Jaehwan finds Yiseon in the library on the third morning, staring at rows of books he'll probably never read. The shoulder wound has been stitched and bandaged properly, his arm in a discreet sling under his shirt. He moves carefully but without the strained weakness of 2 days ago. We need to talk. Not a question. Never a question with him. Yiseon doesn't turn from the window. Below, in the compound's playground, the twins are running with the kind of wild energy that comes from feeling safe for the first time in days. Mrs. Cho watches from a bench, ever present, ever vigilant. About what? How long you plan to keep us here? What prison term you've decided on? About the future. Jaehwan moves closer, and Yiseon can feel him without looking. The mate bond a constant hum of awareness. About what happens next. What happens next is you let us go. No. The single word lands like a death sentence. Yiseon finally turns, and the sight of Jaehwan in casual clothes, dark slacks, a button-down that probably costs more than Yiseon earned in a month, is somehow more jarring than the blood-soaked suit. He looks domestic. Normal. Except for the gun Yiseon knows is holstered at his back and the cold calculation in his eyes. I want legal custody. Yiseon's voice is steady, rehearsed. He's been preparing this conversation for 2 days. Full custody. Documented. Not some verbal promise you can revoke when it suits you. Jaehwan's expression doesn't change. Done. The easy agreement throws Yiseon off balance. Financial independence. My own accounts. Money that you can't control or take away. I'll have my lawyers set up a trust. 10 million to start. More if you need it. Jaehwan says it like he's discussing grocery money, not an amount that would take Yiseon decades to earn. Anything else? The freedom to leave. No. There it is. The wall. Yiseon's hands clench. You can't keep me here against my will. I can. I am. Jaehwan's voice remains maddeningly calm. You're my mate. They're my blood. That's not negotiable. Everything is negotiable. Not this. Jaehwan takes a step closer, and Yiseon's back hits the bookshelf behind him. You want custody? You have it. You want money? Take as much as you need. You want your own space, your own life within these walls? I'll give you anything. But you don't get to take my sons away from me again. You don't get to leave. So I'm a prisoner. You're protected. The distinction seems meaningful to him. There's a difference. Not to me. Yiseon's voice rises despite his attempt at control. Not when there are guards at every door, when I can't even go to the city without your permission, when every decision about my life has to go through you. You nearly died 3 days ago. Jaehwan's composure cracks. Bullets were ripping through your apartment while my sons were hiding under a bed. So forgive me if I'm not willing to risk that again, just so you can pretend at independence. I survived 5 years without you. Barely. The word is harsh. You were 1 heat cycle away from organ failure. Your suppressants were expired and dangerous. You were working yourself to death while raising alpha twins alone. That's not surviving, Yiseon. That's slowly dying. The truth of it stings. Yiseon looks away, hating that Jaehwan can see it, hating more that he's right. At least it was my choice. And now you're choosing to stay alive. For them if not for yourself. Jaehwan's hand comes up, fingers ghosting near Yiseon's jaw but not quite touching. I'm not the enemy here. You're keeping me captive. That makes you exactly the enemy. I'm keeping you safe. There's a difference, yes, you said. Yiseon's laugh is bitter. Tell me, does the cage feel less like a cage if it's made of gold? The mate bond pulses between them, responding to proximity, to the heat of their argument. Yiseon can smell Jaehwan's scent, cedar and smoke and something darker, more possessive. His omega biology wants to submit, to give in, to accept the alpha's dominance. His mind screams against it. I will fight you on this. Yiseon's voice drops, steady with promise. Every day. Every decision. I will make this as difficult as possible. I know. Something that might be respect flickers in Jaehwan's eyes. I wouldn't expect anything less. You're an asshole. I'm an asshole who loves you. The admission is quiet, devastating. Who's loved you for 6 years and spent 5 of them searching. Who took a bullet for you without thinking. Who would burn the world to keep you and our sons safe. His hand finally makes contact, thumb brushing Yiseon's cheekbone. So yes, I'm an asshole. But I'm your asshole, and you're stuck with me. Yiseon's breath catches. The mate bond sings at the touch, and he hates his body for responding. Hates that part of him wants to lean into Jaehwan's hand. Wants to forgive him, wants. The library door slams open. Park Min-jae stands in the doorway, phone in hand, his usual composed expression fractured. Boss, we have a problem. Jaehwan's hand drops. The domestic moment shatters. What kind of problem? The kind that means the Choi assault wasn't opportunistic. Minji's eyes flicked to Yiseon, then back to Jaehwan. They had internal intelligence. Building layout, security gaps, exact timing of your arrival. Someone fed them everything. The temperature in the room drops. Jaehwan's expression goes cold, dangerous. Who? Still tracking down the source. But it's high level. Had to be someone with access to your schedule, your security protocols. Minji's jaw tightens. Boss, this goes deeper than we thought. The leak might go back months. Maybe years. Yiseon watches Jaehwan's face transform. The man who was just confessing love becomes something else. The Mafia boss, the killer, the alpha who rose to power through violence. It's terrifying and fascinating, and explains so much about why he left 5 years ago. Get me names. Jaehwan's voice is deadly quiet. I want everyone with access to that information in the security room in 1 hour. Everyone. Including Park Sang-go? Especially him. Something dark flashes in Jaehwan's eyes. If my own brother is the leak, I want to know. Brother. Yiseon's stomach drops. He'd forgotten Jaehwan had a younger brother, always ambitious, always resentful of being second. Min-jae nods and disappears. Jaehwan stands still for a long moment, his injured shoulder rigid with tension. Then he turns back to Yiseon, and some of the coldness fades. This is why I left. His voice is quiet. This. Right here. Internal wars, betrayal, people I trust trying to destroy me. And anyone close to me becomes a target. He gestures to the compound around them. You think this is a cage? This is the only thing standing between you and a bullet. Between our sons and someone using them as leverage. Yiseon sees it clearly for the first time. Not just the danger, but the isolation. Jaehwan's world is one where family betrays, where trust is a weakness, where love is a vulnerability to be exploited. He's lived in that darkness for years, and it's carved him into something harder, colder. 5 years ago, Yiseon says slowly, when you left. Was it like this? Worse. Jaehwan's expression is bleak. Kim Dae-shik had turned half my organization. I couldn't trust my own guards. Coming home to you every night, knowing they were watching, knowing they'd use you to break me. He stops. I couldn't let that happen. So you broke me yourself instead. The words land like a physical blow. Jaehwan flinches, actual visible pain crossing his face. Yes, I did. He moves toward the door, his alpha authority settling back over him like armor. I have to handle this. Mrs. Cho will stay with you and the boys. Jaehwan. Yiseon's voice stops him at the threshold. If it's your brother, then I'll handle it. The finality in his tone allows no argument. Family or not, no one threatens what's mine. He's gone before Yiseon can respond, leaving nothing but the lingering scent of cedar and smoke and the cold understanding that love in this world comes with a body count. Yiseon sinks into one of the leather chairs, his hands shaking. Through the window, he can see the twins still playing, still innocent, still unaware that their uncle might be trying to kill them. This is the world Jaehwan tried to protect him from. This is the world that found them anyway. And somewhere in this fortress, a traitor is being hunted by the most dangerous alpha in Seoul. Yiseon closes his eyes and acknowledges the terrible truth. Maybe Jaehwan was right to leave. Maybe love in his world really is just another weapon. Maybe the cage is the only kindness he knows how to give. Jaehwan comes to say goodbye just before dawn. Yiseon wakes to find him sitting on the edge of the bed, already dressed in tactical gear, black cargo pants, fitted shirt, the kind of clothes designed for violence. There's a gun holstered at his thigh and another at his back. His shoulder wound is freshly bandaged beneath the shirt. You're leaving. Not a question. Yiseon has learned to read the set of Jaehwan's jaw, the cold determination in his eyes. For a few days, maybe a week, Jaehwan's voice is quiet, careful not to wake the boys sleeping in the next room. I need to handle this personally. The traitor, and the Choi Syndicate, and anyone else who thinks my family is a vulnerability they can exploit. His hand flexes and Yiseon notices the bruised knuckles. He's already started. When I come back, the threat will be eliminated. The clinical way he says it, eliminated not killed, makes Yiseon's stomach turn. But he's also lived through the alternative, felt bullets ripping through their apartment, watched Jaehwan's blood pool on rain-slicked pavement. Will it ever really end? No. The honesty is brutal. But I can make the price of trying high enough that they stop. They sit in silence, the pre-dawn darkness pressing against the bulletproof windows. The mate bond hums between them, and Yiseon can feel Jaehwan's reluctance to leave warring with the necessity of it. I need to see them before I go. Jaehwan stands, and the movement is stiff, painful. The shoulder wound is worse than he's letting on. The boys. Yiseon follows him to the twins' bedroom. Junseo and Miho are tangled together in the massive bed, Miho clutching his stuffed tiger, Junseo's hand resting protectively on his brother's shoulder, even in sleep. They look so small, so innocent. Jaehwan kneels beside the bed, his hand hovering over Junseo's dark hair before finally making contact. Junseo, wake up, son. Junseo's eyes open immediately, alert, aware. Already developing the alpha instinct to wake ready for danger. He sees his father and sits up carefully, trying not to wake Miho. Are you leaving? For a little while. Jaehwan's voice is gentler than Yiseon has ever heard it. I need you to do something for me while I'm gone. What? Protect your brother. Protect your appa. Jaehwan's hand moves to cup Junseo's face, thumb brushing across his son's cheek. You're the oldest. You're alpha. That means when I'm not here, you're the man of the house. Can you do that? Junseo's spine straightens, his small shoulders going back. 5 years old, and already responding to the weight of expectation, the burden of alpha duty. I can do it. I know you can. Jaehwan pulls him into a careful hug, mindful of his injured shoulder. You're strong. Brave. Just like your appa. Better than me. The last words come out rough, choked. Be better than me. When he pulls back, Yiseon can see the sheen in his eyes. Jaehwan blinks it away, but not before Junseo sees it too. The moment of vulnerability cracks something in Yiseon's chest, makes him remember the man Jaehwan was before the world carved him into a weapon. I'll be good, Junseo promises. I'll take care of them. I know. Jaehwan presses a kiss to his son's forehead, then carefully adjusts Miho's blanket without waking him. Tell your brother I love him when he wakes up. They leave the room quietly, and Yiseon expects Jaehwan to head for the door, to leave the way he always does. Quick, clean, no looking back. Instead, he stops in the hallway, turns to face Yiseon with an intensity that steals breath. If something happens, don't. Yiseon's voice cracks. Don't say it. If something happens, Jaehwan continues, relentless, everything is arranged. The compound is yours. The trust funds. Full legal custody. Min-jae will make sure you're protected, that you have everything you need. His hand comes up, fingers threading through Yiseon's hair. You'll be taken care of. I don't want your money. The words come out fierce. I want, he stops, unable to finish. What do you want? Jaehwan steps closer, until they're sharing air, until the mate bond is singing between them. Tell me. I want you to come back. The admission feels like surrender. I want you to come back alive and whole, and his voice breaks. I still hate you for leaving. I know. But the words stick in his throat. 5 years of anger, of pain, of surviving alone. 5 years of trying to forget this man, and failing every single day. I can't lose you again. Even though I should want to. Even though you don't deserve. Jaehwan kisses him. It's not gentle. It's possessive and desperate and full of 5 years of longing, of separation, of words neither of them can say aloud. His hand tightens in Yiseon's hair, angling his head, and Yiseon's omega biology responds instantly, submitting, opening, yielding to his alpha's claim. The mate bond flares like lightning, painful and perfect. Yiseon can taste Jaehwan's desperation, his fear, his love. Can feel the tremor in his hands, the careful way he holds Yiseon like something precious he might break. When they finally break apart, both breathing hard, Jaehwan's forehead rests against Yiseon's. I love you. The words are raw, honest. I've loved you since the moment I met you, and I'll love you until the day I die. And I will come back to you. I swear it. You better. Yiseon's hands fist in Jaehwan's shirt, holding on. Because if you die out there, I'll find a way to bring you back just so I can kill you myself. Jaehwan's laugh is wet. There's my omega. Fierce as fuck. I'm not yours. You are. Jaehwan's hand slides to the back of Yiseon's neck, grip firm. You've been mine since the beginning. The mate bond doesn't lie. And whether you forgive me or not, whether you hate me or not, you're mine and I'm yours. That's not changing. He kisses Yiseon again, softer this time. A promise. A plea. Then he's pulling away, grabbing his go bag from the floor, and heading for the door. Jaehwan. He stops, looks back. Come home. Yiseon's voice is steady despite the fear clawing at his throat. To us. Come home. Always. The word is a vow. Then he's gone, the door closing with a soft click that sounds like finality. Yiseon stands in the empty hallway, his lips still burning from Jaehwan's kiss, his body still humming from the mate bond's intensity. Through the window, he watches the black SUV pull away, disappearing down the mountain road into the pre-dawn darkness. Behind him, Junseo appears in the doorway, tiger-striped pajamas and sleep-mussed hair. Is he coming back? The question, so simple, so terrifying, makes Yiseon's heart clench. He kneels, pulling his son into his arms. Yes, he's coming back. You love him. Not a question. 5 years old and already too perceptive. Even though you're mad at him. Yiseon closes his eyes, breathing in his son's scent. Yes, even though I'm mad at him. That's okay. Junseo's small hand pats Yiseon's back. Miho and I fight sometimes, but we still love each other. Maybe it's like that. If only it were that simple. But Yiseon doesn't say that. Instead, he holds his son and watches the empty driveway and tries not to count the ways Jaehwan could die out there in the violence he's riding toward. The mate bond stretches, thin but unbroken, tracking Jaehwan's distance. It aches like a physical wound. Somewhere in Seoul, the most dangerous alpha in the city is hunting traitors and eliminating threats. And here in this mountain fortress, an omega who swore he'd never forgive him discovers the terrible truth. Love doesn't die just because you want it to. It persists. It aches. It waits. And so Yiseon waits, trapped between hatred and hope, while his mate walks into darkness. Before I tell you what happens next, subscribe to Starry-Eyed Lovers, and tell me where you're watching from. Jaehwan returns on the 4th day, not the 3rd. The SUV pulls up to the compound at 2 a.m., and Yiseon wakes to the mate bond suddenly blazing to life after days of stretched, aching distance. He's out of bed before conscious thought, bare feet on cold marble, rushing down the stairs in nothing but sleep clothes. The front door opens, and Jaehwan walks through it. He's clean, showered somewhere, changed into fresh clothes. There's no blood on his hands, no visible wounds beyond the healing shoulder injury. But something is wrong. Yiseon can see it immediately in the way Jaehwan moves, the set of his shoulders, the absolute emptiness in his eyes. He looks like a man who's just crawled out of hell and left pieces of himself behind. You're back. Yiseon's voice sounds distant to his own ears. He stops at the bottom of the stairs, suddenly uncertain. I'm back. Jaehwan's voice is flat, emotionless. He looks at Yiseon but doesn't really see him. There's a coldness in his gaze that wasn't there before. The look of someone who's done unspeakable things and can't quite find their way back to humanity. Are you hurt? No. The single word offers nothing. Jaehwan moves past him toward the stairs, and Yiseon catches his arm. The mate bond pulses at the contact, but Jaehwan barely reacts. It's like touching a statue. What happened out there? What needed to happen? Jaehwan's eyes finally focus on him, and Yiseon has to fight not to step back. It's done. The Choi Syndicate is gone. The traitor is eliminated. No one will threaten you or the boys again. The clinical delivery, eliminated not killed, makes Yiseon's stomach turn. Who is it? The traitor? Does it matter? Something flickers in Jaehwan's expression. Pain, maybe. Or the ghost of it. He's dead now. He. Not they. A single person. Someone Jaehwan knew. Maybe someone he loved. Was it your brother? Jaehwan's jaw tightens, and that's answer enough. He pulls his arm from Yiseon's grip and continues up the stairs. I need to sleep. We can talk tomorrow. But Yiseon follows, because the man climbing these stairs isn't the alpha who left 4 days ago. That man had emotion, passion, desperation. This one is hollow, carved out, a weapon that's forgotten it was ever human. Jaehwan. Not now. The words are sharp. Please. Just not now. Yiseon lets him go, watches him disappear into the master bedroom, and stands alone in the hallway with his heart pounding and the mate bond aching with something that feels like grief. Morning comes too bright. Yiseon gets the twins fed and dressed, his movements automatic while his mind stays stuck on Jaehwan's empty eyes. Mrs. Cho hovers, knowing something is wrong but too professional to ask. Jaehwan emerges near noon, looking more human, but still carrying that coldness like a second skin. The twins are in the playroom, and he stops in the doorway, watching them with an expression Yiseon can't read. Appa! Miho spots him first, abandoning his blocks to run over. You came back, but Junseo is slower to move. He's watching his father with those two knowing eyes, alpha instinct reading what Yiseon can see but doesn't understand. When he finally approaches, it's with careful steps, like approaching a wounded animal. Did you win? Junseo asks. The question, so simple, so devastating, makes Jaehwan flinch. He kneels, bringing himself to eye level with his sons. Yes, I won. Good. Junseo's small hand reaches out, touches Jaehwan's face. You look sad. I'm not sad. But the lie is obvious. I'm just tired. You look like when Appa cried at night. Junseo's voice is matter of fact. When he thought we were sleeping. After the bad dreams. Yiseon's breath catches. He didn't know Junseo had noticed. 5 years old, and already carrying the weight of his parents' pain. Jaehwan pulls both boys into his arms, and Yiseon watches his careful control crack just slightly. I missed you. Both of you. His eyes find Yiseon over their heads. All of you. Miho chatters about the new toys, about the pool, about everything he's discovered in the compound. But Junseo stays quiet, pressed against his father's chest, and Yiseon realizes with cold certainty that his son understands. Understands what Jaehwan had to do. Understands the cost of keeping them safe. 5 years old, and already learning that love in this world is measured in violence. That evening, after the twins are asleep, Yiseon finds Jaehwan on the third-floor balcony, staring out at the darkness. The mountain air is cold, but Jaehwan doesn't seem to notice. It was Sango. Yiseon says it as a statement, not a question. Jaehwan doesn't turn. My baby brother, 24 years old. I raised him after our father died. Paid for his education. Gave him everything. His hands gripped the railing. And he sold us out to the Choi Syndicate for what? Power. Money. The chance to be the boss instead of the boss's brother. I'm sorry. Don't be. The words are harsh. I'm not. He made his choice. I made mine. Did you? Yiseon can't finish the question. Yes. Jaehwan's voice is flat. I did it myself. Looked him in the eyes and pulled the trigger. Because that's what you do to traitors. That's what you do to people who threaten your family. He finally turns, and the coldness is back. Does that frighten you? Knowing what I'm capable of? Yes. The honesty feels necessary. It terrifies me. Good. You should be afraid. Jaehwan moves closer, and Yiseon forces himself not to retreat. Because this is who I am. This is what I do. I kill people who threaten what's mine. I burn down organizations that come after my family. I put bullets in the heads of men who think my sons are leverage. His voice drops. Including my own brother. Jaehwan. Junseo is already like me. The words come out anguished. Did you see how he looked at me today? He understands. 5 years old, and he already understands what I had to do. What kind of man is he going to become, raised in this world? The question hangs between them, heavy with fear and guilt. Yiseon thinks of Junseo's careful approach, his lack of fear, his alpha instinct recognizing and accepting his father's violence. He doesn't have to be like you. But the words sound hollow even to Yiseon. He's already like me. Jaehwan's expression is bleak. He is my blood, my instincts, my world. And Miho will follow whatever Junseo becomes. I've doomed them both. Then we leave. The words burst out desperately. We take them away from this. Find somewhere safe, somewhere normal. There is nowhere safe. Jaehwan's voice is hard. We tried that. It found you anyway. And it will keep finding you because they're my sons. Because you're my mate. Because in this world, love is weakness and family is vulnerability. He steps closer, cupping Yiseon's face with hands that killed his brother 4 days ago. I'm a monster. I know that. I've made peace with it. But I'm your monster, and I will burn the world to ash to keep you three safe. The declaration should horrify him. Should make Yiseon pull away. Should make him grab the twins and run. Instead, he finds himself leaning into Jaehwan's touch, seeking comfort in the arms of a killer. What have we become? Yiseon's voice breaks. Survivors. Jaehwan's forehead rests against his. We've become survivors. And maybe that's all we can be. The mate bond pulses between them, tying Yiseon to this man, to this life, to this violence. He thinks of his sons sleeping peacefully downstairs, safe behind bulletproof glass and armed guards. Safe because their father is a monster who will kill anyone who threatens them. I don't want this for them, Yiseon whispers. Neither do I. Jaehwan's voice is raw with grief. But it's the only thing I know how to give. They stand together on the balcony, two broken people trying to protect their children from a world that's already marked them. Below, the compound's lights gleam like false stars. Beyond the walls, danger waits. And inside this fortress, a family tries to find peace in the spaces between violence. Teach them to be better than you, Yiseon finally says. You told Junseo to be better than you. So teach them. Show them there's more to being alpha than killing. I don't know how. Then we'll figure it out. Yiseon pulls back to look at Jaehwan's face, exhausted, haunted, but finally present. Together. Because I can't do this alone anymore, and you, his voice catches. You can't keep carrying this alone either. Something shifts in Jaehwan's expression. Not hope, exactly, but maybe the possibility of it. He pulls Yiseon into his arms, careful of his healing shoulder, and holds on like a drowning man finding shore. I killed my brother for you. The confession is whispered against Yiseon's hair. For them. And I'd do it again. I know. And the terrible thing is, Yiseon does know. Understands it. Maybe even accepts it. Just come back to us when you do. Don't lose yourself in the darkness. Too late for that. Then let us be your light. The words feel presumptuous, impossible. But Yiseon says them anyway. Let us remind you that you're human. That you're more than the violence. Jaehwan's grip tightens. The mate bond settles between them, no longer aching but thrumming with something that might be peace. It's not forgiveness. Not yet. But it's understanding. Acceptance. The beginning of learning to exist in the spaces between love and violence, between safety and captivity, between the man Jaehwan was and the monster he's become. In the morning, Junseo will ask to train like his father. And Yiseon will have to decide how much of this world to let in. But tonight, on this balcony, they hold each other and pretend the darkness isn't closing in. The conversation happens 2 weeks after Jaehwan's return, when the coldness has finally started to thaw from his eyes. They're in his office, a space Yiseon has avoided until now, all dark wood and expensive leather and the subtle scent of gun oil. Jaehwan sits behind a desk that probably costs more than a car, and Yiseon stands by the window, watching the twins play in the garden below. I need something from you. Yiseon's voice is steady, rehearsed. He's been preparing this for days. Name it. Therapy. The word drops like a stone. For you. For us. For the boys. Real therapy, not some bought and paid for yes man who'll tell you what you want to hear. The silence stretches. Yiseon can feel Jaehwan's surprise through the mate bond, sharp and sudden. Therapy. Jaehwan repeats the word like it's foreign. You want me to sit in a room and talk about my feelings with a stranger. I want you to learn how to be human again. Yiseon turns to face him. I want our sons to have a father who knows there's more to being alpha than violence. His voice catches. I want to believe we can be more than this. Jaehwan's fingers drum against the desk, a rare tell of agitation. Do you know what would happen if word got out that Seo Jaehwan was seeing a therapist? The perception of weakness alone. I don't care. The words come out fierce. Let them think you're weak. Let them try something. You've already proven what happens to people who threaten us. Yiseon moves closer to the desk. But our sons are watching you, learning from you. And if all they learn is how to kill, how to be cold, how to bury their humanity, he stops. Then we've already lost them. The mate bond pulses between them, carrying Yiseon's desperation, his fear, his stubborn hope. Jaehwan stares at him for a long moment, expression unreadable. Okay. Yiseon blinks. Okay. I'll do it. Therapy. Whatever you need. Jaehwan stands, moving around the desk. But I want something in return. Of course you do. Stop fighting me on everything. Not submission. He adds quickly when Yiseon's eyes flash. Partnership. Real partnership. You tell me what you need, I tell you what I need. We figure this out together instead of constantly at war. That's what I've been trying to do. No. You've been trying to escape. Jaehwan's voice is gentle but firm. I see it in your eyes every time you look at the gates. You're always planning the next exit, the next run. And I need you to stop. To choose to stay. Not because you're trapped, but because this is where you want to be. The request feels impossible. But Yiseon looks at the twins through the window, safe, happy, playing without fear for the first time in their lives, and realizes the truth. He stopped wanting to run weeks ago. Maybe the moment Jaehwan took that bullet. Maybe when he saw Junseo recognize his father. Maybe in that kitchen when Jaehwan admitted he'd been searching for 5 years. I'm still angry at you. The admission comes out quiet. I know. I don't forgive you for leaving. I know that too. But I'm choosing to stay. The words feel like surrender and victory at once. Not because I'm trapped. Not because of the mate bond. But because he stops the truth too raw. Because I choose you. Us. This broken, impossible thing we're trying to build. Jaehwan's control cracks. He pulls Yiseon into his arms, careful and desperate, and the mate bond sings between them with something that feels like coming home. I'll do better. I swear it. The therapy, the normalcy for the boys, all of it. Whatever it takes. Legal protections too. Real ones. Documentation that if something happens to you, we're provided for but not owned by your organization. Already done. Min-jae filed everything last week. And the boys get to choose. Yiseon pulls back to look at Jaehwan's face. When they're older, if they want out of this life, you let them go. You don't force them into the organization just because they're your blood. The request costs Jaehwan. Yiseon can see it in the tightness around his eyes, the way his jaw works. But finally, he nods. If they want out, they get out. I'll make sure they have the choice I never did. It's not perfect. It's not the life Yiseon dreamed of when he was young and foolish and thought love was simple. But it's real. It's honest. It's a foundation they can maybe build on. 3 months later, the compound has started to feel less like a prison and more like a home. There are still guards, still bulletproof glass, still the constant awareness of danger beyond the walls. But there's also laughter. Routine. Small moments of normalcy carved out of the violence. Yiseon sets up an art studio in one of the spare rooms, teaches the twins to paint with broad, messy strokes. Junseo favors dark colors, sharp lines, already so much like his father. Miho is all bright chaos, covering himself in paint more than the canvas. Appa, look. Miho holds up a painting that's mostly orange handprints. It's a tiger. It's beautiful, baby. Yiseon helps him clean his hands, watching Junseo work with intense concentration on his own canvas. Through the open door, he can hear Jaehwan on a phone call in his office. Business. Always business. But the tone is different now, still dangerous, still alpha, but with an edge of restraint. Therapy is working slowly. Dr. Kim comes twice a week, and Yiseon joins for couples sessions that are brutal and necessary. Is he coming? Junseo asks without looking up from his painting. Soon. He promised. And he does. 20 minutes later, Jaehwan appears in the doorway, phone finally away, the coldness mostly gone from his eyes. He's learned to leave the violence behind when he enters this room, to be just a father instead of a killer. What are we making today? He settles on the floor next to Yiseon, and Miho immediately climbs into his lap, getting paint on his expensive shirt. Jaehwan doesn't even flinch. A family. Junseo's answer is simple, profound. He's painting 4 figures, rough, childish, but clearly them. All of us together. Yiseon's throat tightens. He meets Jaehwan's eyes over their sons' heads, sees his own emotion reflected back. This isn't the life either of them planned. It's built on violence and pain and 5 years of separation. It's held together by a mate bond that neither of them asked for and choices made under duress. But it's theirs. Jaehwan's hand finds Yiseon's, fingers intertwining while Miho chatters about tigers and Junseo adds careful details to his painting. The mate bond hums between them, settled and strong. Not perfect. Not painless. But real. We face it together this time. Jaehwan's voice is quiet, meant only for Yiseon. Together, Yiseon agrees and squeezes his hand. Outside the compound walls, danger still waits. The world is still violent, still hungry. But inside this room, covered in paint and laughter and the messy reality of family, they've carved out something worth protecting. Yiseon looks at his sons, at the alpha who broke him and spent 5 years trying to fix it, at the life they're building from broken pieces. This isn't the fairy tale. There's no happily ever after, just the harder joy of choosing each other every day despite the cost. But maybe that's what love is in this world. Not the absence of darkness, but the decision to light candles anyway. Not safety, but the courage to be vulnerable despite the danger. Not perfection, but the stubborn insistence on building something beautiful in the wreckage. The painting Junseo creates shows four figures holding hands, standing together against a dark background. When he's finished, he holds it up with pride. That's us. We're strong because we're together. Yes, Yiseon whispers, pulling his family close. That's exactly what we are. And for the first time in 5 years, he believes it might be enough.